Hello, everybody. Jessie Lucas here of Embodied Movement Training, and I am so excited to bring you episode 2 of Conscious Body Conversations. And I am here today. You're going to hear from Susan Marco, clinical hypnotist, in just a moment. And you guys, we were just chatting a little bit before hitting record. There is this theme going on. It's truly my deep belief that one of the things happening right now in this arduous year we've had, one of the gifts is that wellness has been flipped upside down, inside out, however you want to look at it. And these modalities, these approaches to health that have been kind of like hiding in the corners, really have so much power and really deserve to be looked at. And I hope that you learned something today, that an angle you might not have seen before from Susan. So if you know anything about me, my background in teaching yoga and personal training and kind of bringing that together and teaching people about their kinesthetic intelligence, how to use conscious body practices, and really connecting with other wellness professionals so that you can bring movement into your practice. I love when a healing art, a modality, an approach is empowering. And in talking to Susan about her work in hypnotherapy, you're going to hear some of that as well. So without further ado, because I'm so excited to hear from you, I think you're going to talk a little bit about reset and ease. And I have my own story about that. Maybe I'll share it. Maybe I'll share it another time. Susan, thank you for having this conscious body conversation with me today. Tell us about who you are, what you do.
Well, first of all, Jessie, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. To be here with you is such a joy, and to impart whatever wisdom or information that I can is really, it lights me up, really. So my story, I was a certified massage therapist for 35 years. And a few years back, I realized might be time to shift, and started looking for a way that I could, in a less physically taxing way for myself, how I could be with people in a similar way. And so, in my practice of 35 years, I spent most of my adult life teaching people how to relax, how to just surrender, let go, be in their body, receiving. And so, without getting into too much of a long story, the idea of hypnosis had kind of come through my mind a few times in my life. And it just hit me one day. It was kind of like an aha moment. Now's the time. And so I enrolled in a course, and I got my basic training in hypnotherapy, and started practicing, love the work. And, I do a lot of like the typical hypnosis, things that people come to me for. People come to stop smoking or for weight management programs. People will come for just stress reduction, or sleep is a big issue for a lot of people. So I do a lot of work with insomnia, releasing habits, addictions, getting rid of phobias, that kind of thing. I also work in an oncology setting. So I work with women, particularly who are undergoing treatment for cancer through a local retreat center here. And I love that work. I love to be able to help people, work through that kind of life-changing event. And also, one of the things that's close to my heart, because I've done a lot of work myself on this topic, is building esteem, building self-esteem, building resilience. And as you sort of touched on initially, the idea of survival and surviving versus thriving. So in 2020, we all know it was a very crazy year. A lot of very challenging things came up. And I think it put a lot of us into that sense or feeling of survival mode. Here's the thing. We have no control over the external circumstances. Like, I have no control that there's a virus, running around that is taking lives, taking businesses, taking like all of the things that have happened because of COVID. But what I do have control over is how I move through that and what I do with myself, inside of myself, to kind of, stay in a mindset of thriving. And so luckily, I guess one of the good things that came out of the pandemic for me was that a lot of my mentors and teachers in the hypnosis world started offering these wonderful programs and teachings and trainings. And I learned a process not too long ago called timeline reset. I've also since then taken the same woman's course. Her name is Emma Romano, by the way, if anybody wants to check her out. But I also took her course in something called Delete Reset, and am about to embark on a training with her through the month of February, which is called a Family Freedom Protocol. Now that's a lot of blah, 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 right? But here's the real deal. Most of us walk around and we hold on to, in our unconscious minds, we hold on to memories and traumas and beliefs about ourselves based on those traumas and memories. It's quite natural. We all do it. Here's the thing. The unconscious mind does not know how to let that go. So that's where I come in. What I do is I help facilitate that release. I help facilitate people to let go of those long held negative emotions and negative beliefs about ourselves so that they can shift from surviving to thriving. So, and one of the women in the course with me said, and I just love this, she said, shift from pressure to pleasure.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's very exciting to me. And I've been graced to have an influx of clients who are really excited to do this work. And I have to say, I shouldn't be, but I'm a little surprised and so gratefully blown away at how powerful and effective this work is. So it just makes me want to do more. Of course, Jesse, right? When we can connect with a client in that way and really watch and witness their growth and stepping into their power and into their potential.
That right there, that's exactly why I want to be having these conversations and sharing them widely, because I think there are so many, like you are feeling, oh my gosh, I see this, it's working. I'm seeing it working for so many more people. I just want to share it more. I think the reciprocal thing on the other side of that is so many of us who may have had some stubborn brains, who may have had, just set in our ways, or just maybe like feeling too busy or too crazed to just even kind of start to peel through the layers and deal with some of those habits that are going on below the surface. I think it's just so relevant right now. And so many people are either completely exhausted, completely fed up with their own, patterns that are depleting their well-being on whatever level it is, whether it's a sabotaging habit or mental pattern or just the way your life is going. So I think your desire to keep serving and serving more is met by the readiness for this kind of healing. And I can attest to that, because even though I'm one of those people, I have my meditation practice, I have my yoga, I have, all of my tools in my toolbox, my movement, I teach some of this stuff, right? So I should know what I'm doing. But I know enough to have known for years that I had some subconscious beliefs. My operating system is what I've been calling it, that, man, I couldn't budge. As much, positive affirmation, as much, meditation, as much as I tried to input new things, it was not overriding this old programming. And no matter how motivated I was, how much good I tried to bring to the table, how hard my work ethic was, I kept running into the same problems. And I had an experience over the course of 2020 where there was a readiness. Something had shifted, and I had some subconscious tools kind of similar to hypnotherapy, that got in there to the programming. And I love those words, reset, delete, like this, this whole thing. To me, it's like, oh, you just do, put in the new programming, and then there's ease in the shift. So I can relate from both a point of like, these healing arts this is my world, these are my people. And I had such a stubborn brain that wasn't responding to so many things. So I wanted to share that, because I think what I'm hearing you say, what you provide, is this really efficient and effective way to get to where that programming is, and voila. And not to sound too like, oh, this is just, like take your magic bullet, magic pill kind of thing. But like you kept saying, this is the real deal stuff that's accessible, even if you have, even if you're stubborn like me.
Yes.
That's awesome. It sounds like you work with both very like practical things, like those habits, those lifestyle habits, and also I know you mentioned on like the bigger belief systems, the bigger kind of self-worth, self-efficacy, those kinds of things. I can only imagine that they relate, but I also appreciate that you have that mix of being able to address from both points. I do want to keep this short and sweet. Is there anything else that you want to add, something you want to share, a little teaching, something that the people watching can take away that they might learn to be able to like either experience some of this, or a last little aha that you want to make sure like you really drive home with?
Yeah, thank you. So, my personal experience and what really motivated me and kind of set me on this path with this particular program is that I had something myself that I was looking to, it was a physical thing that I was looking to heal. And I did a session with the creator of this timeline reset. And although so I had a small change in the physical thing, but what I started to notice was that emotionally and spiritually and psychologically, how I was approaching different things in my life that used to be a problem for me. And by the way, one of the clues that I'll give you is that if you're in the problem in your head, there's no solution. So the first thing that you need to do is to just take that thought about the problem. So maybe the problem is, I don't think that people are really going to believe me. And step aside from that. Just take that problem. What would life look like if I didn't have that thought? Who would I be if I wasn't thinking about myself in that way? And then allow that to come up. And even though I know it's hard sometimes, when you're doing these things in the conscious mind, it's, the belief is in the unconscious mind. So we have to approach it from that standpoint. And I'm glad that you mentioned that you had other tools. So however you can get there, that's kind of crucial, but just to even start thinking about not being in the problem, because there's no solution there. Right. So what I started to notice was my reactions to things were different. So where a particular person in my family might have pushed my buttons, we all have one or two of those, right? It just didn't have the same effect on me anymore. Not that, the potential was there, because if I have an issue with that person, but how much of that issue that I have with that person was coming from deeper stuff inside of me that had nothing to do with them, had to do with the way my mother talked to me when I was 4, or had to do with, and honestly, the truth of the matter is that if you're ready and you really want to let go, it is a simple process. It does not have to be, you know, reviewing and going back and looking at all the specifics of the events that happened. We can't change past events. All we can do is change how we are holding on to or not holding on to the things that came out of those events. So in spirit, in, psychologically, mentally, on all those levels. And what I really like about this work also is that it's working on, it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, and it's also cellular, because a part of the program addresses it on a cellular level. So, yeah, I think, my biggest advice would be, or, suggestion would be to just kind of listen to yourself and watch how your thoughts run through your head. So one quick thing I want to share is that I had done a subsequent session on my limiting beliefs. And I had a belief about my business, about me in my business. And was I good enough? We all have that. We all struggle with that. How are they going to believe me? Am I really good enough? And I was standing in the mirror in the bathroom one morning. I just showered and I was looking at myself, and this thought came up that was so negative about how my business was going to unfold. And I caught myself, and I was like, wait, that's what I don't want. Hello, what do I want? And so I got very clear. And in the moment I said, what I want is, I want people to want to refer people to me. I want people to feel comfortable and safe to reach out and call me. And I want people to be ready to invest in themselves and invest in my programs. And I am serious. My phone rang as I was having that thought. And when I was finished in the bathroom, I picked up the message, and it was a client looking to refer someone to me. So this stuff is really powerful. We create our life. We create what comes to us. Do you want to experience life as a positive? Then you have to experience positivity inside of yourself. How do you get there? Well, if you can do it on your own, beautiful, and congratulations. And I honor and support that. But if you need a little help, you reach out to someone like myself or Jessie or any of the other wonderful people that I know she's going to have on her calls, and you find someone who can help facilitate that for you. That's what we're here for.
You spoke to one of my favorite pieces, and I'll wrap with this. You and I were chatting about this the other day. My favorite Viktor Frankl quote, and I'll probably mix up the words here, but between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies your freedom. And when we're caught in survival mode, whether that's, going on a year of a global pandemic situation, or whether it's, stuff that's been on repeat, whether it's since childhood or since a traumatic event in your adulthood, or, whatever it is, that gap between stimulus and response almost disappears, and we become reactive, and we just are that negative thought comes, that negative pattern comes, that negative habit comes, that self-sabotaging comes, whatever it is, and from my perspective, working in the kinesthetic health world, like that all shows up in your body. And if you can facilitate opening up that gap, just a moment, that moment you caught yourself in the mirror when you recognized, hey, that's one line of thought, but there's another. You were able, in opening up that gap, to respond instead of react. And yes, there are so many beautiful ways to access that. My whole desire is that this year we find the ways that are efficient and easy and work quickly. So it sounds like your work with the hypnotherapy and all of those avenues that you're exploring go right to the source to change the code. I know my work in movement, that's exactly what we do. We're using a more dense thing, like physical movement of your body, but same thing to open up that gap so you have the ability to notice and respond. So thank you so much for bringing that in. As we say goodbye here, I will include the links in the show notes, but please let us know where people can find you, because I know they're going to want to learn more and, find you to book a session or a consultation, whatever you have going on. So where can people find you?
Okay. So first, I just want to say I do a discovery call, which is free of charge. So, half hour we can spend together talking on the phone or Zooming, whatever is comfortable, and just, see if we're a good fit for each other. That's number one. But before I get into my website, I have one more thing to share. And this is my favorite quote. And coming out of 2020, I think we'll all agree, this is, I believe it's a Wayne Dyer quote, don't wait for things to get better. Life will always be complicated. Learn to be happy right now. Otherwise, you'll run out of time. So do it now, whatever you're going to do. You can find me on the web at www.susanmarco.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. It's all Susan Marco. Everything's Susan Marco. And, feel free to reach out. Either email me, susan.marco@gmail.com, or ring me up. You can find my number on my website. I'd love to talk about this stuff, and I would love to talk to anyone who is interested in learning a little bit more.
You are so kind and generous. So go find Susan's work out there. I can speak from my heart and my experience that when you can access that subconscious layer, things can change profoundly and quickly. And for those of you who may not know me and see me, you can find me. Embodied Movement Training is my website. If that's too much to type in, you can type in jessielucas.com and it'll redirect you right over there. And find me at Jessie B. Lucas on all the other social media platforms. And I would love to hear from you as well. Susan, thank you, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode of Conscious Body Conversations. Have a great day.